Okay, let's have a tour of the Riddings Wood Caravan and Camping Park. So, we're on a bit of a main road, not too quiet, and then we come towards the reception area. When you first arrive, 5-mile-an-hour speed limit. So this on the right hand side is where all your lodges are. If you're going to book a lodge, then it's just to the right under these trees. And then we've got reception just ahead, the office. And this is where you park up at the barrier and you check in. That's the office. To the right, just to the right there, right in the centre of the screen, that's the toilet facility, which I'll show you a bit later on, just at the top of the hill. But when you come in, you drive down here, and you can go one of two ways. Now most of these up here, you can catch the wind a little bit. You're on a bit of a hill. Like I say, you've got a bit of a fork in the road here, so you can go one of two ways, but we've gone this way. To the left here, we've got where your bins, recycling is all situated. And then you've got the expired toilets, shower cubicles, that's all now closed. So then that's instructing you to go up to the top of the hill. If you go downhill, again the road surface is uneven, heading downhill. Now there's children playing in the play area, so I'm not going to show you that particular area for obvious reasons. But again, later on, if it's clear, I'll go and film them. But as it stands at the moment, with children present, the answer is no. Now that's about half the site done. Now if you want to come camping without the use of any electric supply, then you would come down this path here. There's plenty of people that camp over here. A couple of people vacated this morning. Right, I'm going to keep walking to my tent. You know, a little play area for the kiddies. Children's play area. Children must be supervised with a responsible adult at all times. So yeah, something for the children to do. Hello everyone, welcome to It's a Camping Thing. My name is Paul and you join me in my garden for a review of the Riddings Wood Holiday Park. Incidentally, the sun is popping in and out of the clouds, something chronic today, so if I start squinting, you know why. But this weather is very reminiscent of the weather I had a couple of weeks ago when visiting the Riddings Wood Holiday Park. Now, I must state the fact that I'm not associated with anyone either from Riddings Wood Holiday Park or from pitchup.com with whom I booked this campsite with. All views expressed in this video are mine and mine alone. And I'm going to break this review down to 9 simple sections, starting from booking all the way ending up at price, all important price. And then my final conclusions of this particular campsite. So let's begin. Okay, my first section is obviously going to be booking. It's the first process in any sort of booking a campsite. And I looked through many different websites and I had a look and I was like, And then I found pitchup.com, a website I've never actually used before. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was very easy, very convenient to find what I was looking for. And yeah, very, very quick, very easy, payment easy and secure. Pitchup.com get a maximum score of 5 out of 5. Okay, so we've booked our campsite, we've found the campsite, we're now on campsite. What's the next step? Well, obviously it's the welcome. Have you ever been to a campsite and you've gone to check in, it's like kind of like, yeah, just whatever, and it's like they're not bothered about you at all? Or have you had it like I had with Riddings Wood Holiday Park, I'm glad to say, where I checked in and I was welcomed and I was given information about the site, and I was given a phone number to call in case there was any issues. I was given a code for the barrier to lift up and down if I wanted to leave the site for a day or go shopping or go and see one of the local attractions. It was everything I needed. It was wonderful. So the welcome for me gets an easy 5 out of 5. For my third section, I'm looking at site access. How easy was it to get onto the campsite? Now, in years gone by, I've been to many, many campsites, some better than others, but I've been to some campsites, and one particular that springs to mind from years ago was where it was very poorly signposted, and then it was like, it can't be down here, surrounded by woodland, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, there's a sign there, down here, and then it's like you're going down a very steep, kind of muddy track, trees either side, very tight, twisty road. The campsite didn't just allow for people with tents, but also people with caravans as well. So you're kind of like going around corners like, is there anything coming? Is there anything coming? Like this. Very narrow track, and the road was very bumpy. So it's like you're driving like this, and it's like I'm fearing for my suspension like this. And for someone like me who's had their MOT this morning, for those of you who don't live in the UK, an MOT is basically like a certificate of worthiness, roadworthiness for your car, and if it fails, then obviously it means plenty more money, and possibly, in this case, broken suspension. But with Riddings Wood Holiday Park, I found none of that. It was absolutely easy. There was an A road outside, which is a tarmacked road with a dotted line down the middle, signposted, peered off onto a gravel driveway, parked up outside, and yeah, it was really easy. So site access for me was just brilliant. 5 out of 5. For my next section, I'm looking at site cleanliness. You know, we've booked into the site, we've checked in, you're having a little look around. Do I see any litter going around? Are the bins overflowing? No, absolutely none. I will say though that there was one corner of the site where the grass was uncut, very high, so obviously you couldn't pitch a tent on it, and it was cordoned off, and that was for like trees that had probably fallen into the campsite or whatever. I have no issue with that. Obviously, you know, everyone's got a place for discarding rubbish or maybe trees or whatever. I've got bins in the garden right here. You know, it doesn't factor in. It doesn't have an overall effect on my campsite. Yes, I could see it, but then again, when I walked past the bins, I could see, you know, the bins were there, and I understand that completely. So again, it has to be 5 out of 5. For my fifth section, I'm going to be looking at local location. Now, what do I mean by this? No more than a 10-minute drive away, a bit of a walk. Now, local location for me, it wasn't like there was a supermarket, a mini supermarket, necessarily within walking distance. I would say you'd probably have to walk probably 20 minutes or so to get to anywhere to buy anything, which I thought was a bit of a shame. It's not like, oh, I didn't bring my gas cylinders, got no gas cylinders, let's go to reception. I couldn't see anything like that, which was a bit unfortunate. There was a pub nearby within walking distance, and if you wanted to go to the nearest big shops like B&M, The Range, plenty more of them to choose from, the local town area was probably, 8-minute drive away, I would say. So I'm going to give local location 4 out of 5. For my next section, we're looking at location, but we're going to extend it a little bit. So I'm going to call this one places to visit. Now, I'm going to put this under no more than 50 miles distance from Riddings Wood Holiday Park. Now, situated in Derbyshire, you've got the Peak District literally on your doorstep. You've got beautiful, idyllic places like Matlock Bath, Bakewell, Matlock itself. You've also got Chatsworth House. You've got Lady Bower Reservoir, which is where I did actually visit. And yeah, just so many places within a 50-mile distance of Riddings Wood Holiday Park. There was just so much to see and do in that distance, where you had your base and you could go, okay, we're going to go here today. It was just wonderful, really, really lovely. So for me, the places to visit gets a full 5 out of 5. Pitch sizes is my next section, and I had no problem with that. We were just told we can go anywhere down here and that, and I had no problem with it at all. The pitches themselves were immaculately kept, absolutely wonderful. There was the odd scorch mark from when somebody had like a barbecue, but other than that, fine. Again, 5 out of 5. Okay, this is the facilities on site: toilets, showers, sinks. I'll show you the men's, obviously not the ladies. I have just been in here just to make sure the fact that there was nobody in here beforehand. Didn't want to disturb somebody. We've got all the sinks, and then we've got shower cubicles, all pristine condition. Nice shower curtain, and you got the urinals for the gents. And then loos, lavatories. All looks like brand new. Again. And if you want to do any washing up, which I need to do, then you've got some sinks or some basins. Just over here. For my 7th section, I'm going to be looking at facilities, i.e. toilets, showers, sinks, place to wash your pots. Was it convenient? Was it easy? Yes, of course it was. The only issue I had with the facilities is the fact that they were so close to reception upon entering the site. The fact that if you were all the way down the bottom of the hill like I was, it was a long walk. But that was my choice. I chose the rural location, far and away from everyone and anything. Hello, you know, it was that was my doing, and I got the benefit of both worlds. But yes, it would have been better if the facilities themselves were a little bit more centrally located. There was incidentally a toilet block more centrally located. That's about 4 times I've said that. But that would close down. Obviously, for whatever reason, I don't know. As I said, I'm not affiliated with anyone from Riddings Wood Holiday Park. But yeah, it was a bit of a shame the fact that the only toilet block they had on site was literally as soon as you walk in. But other than that, yeah. So I am going to score facilities 4 out of 5. The facilities themselves were immaculately clean. They were absolutely wonderful. Very, very nice, I've got to admit. But again, just the location. So 4 out of 5 for facilities. For my 8th section, I'm going to be looking at peace and tranquility. Now, as I said, in facilities, I chose far and away from everyone else. Hello, I'm camping down here. Yeah, I woke up to birdsong every morning. It was beautiful, and the weather was gorgeous as well, which did help. But taking the weather aside, oh, the peace and tranquility. Do you know what? Even now, I still feel relaxed from that trip. I can still smile just thinking about it. It felt like a 2-week holiday rather than a couple of nights away. It was wonderful. So peace and tranquility to me, waking up to birdsong was just heaven. 5 out of 5. I'm smiling about it now, thinking about it. It is wonderful. For my next section, looking at things to do for the children, and although I'm not going to sit there and watch the children play because that's just wrong, but there was a playground there with swings and I think it was slides, and yeah, it looked decent. If I was younger, I would have gone on there. But obviously I didn't take children with me, so realistically it's unapplicable, but I could see the fact that it actually had catered for the younger ones amongst us. So I'm still going to give it 4 out of 5 because it looked decent. It looked like it was well kept as well. So 4 out of 5 I think is fair. Okay, and our last section is going to be price. Now let's break this down. How can I put this? I looked at some campsites and some of them were charging as much just for a tent. You take your own tent, your own bed. You don't have any electricity supply. Some campsites for exactly the same dates, 10th to the 12th of May 2025, were charging £90. £90 to sleep in effectively my own bed, in my own tent, to possibly use a few sheets of toilet paper and maybe some warm water for either a shower or wash my hands and flush the toilet. £90 is a lot. But Riddings Wood Holiday Park was £49 for 2 people and a dog for 2 nights, 10th to the 12th of May. And I've got to stop doing that. I think that is fantastic value for money. £49 for 2 people and a dog in May, in springtime, when the weather was like this, which was glorious. Now, taking the weather aside out of it, if it was pouring rain, it wouldn't detract from that at all. It was an added bonus, but I've got to think about without the weather. And I think £49 for 2 people and a dog is fantastic. If we hadn't have taken Bella, then it would have been 46. But taking the dog was £3. So let's break that down. £46, 2 people, 2 nights. Let's kind of look at it on a cost by cost basis. So if we both went, okay, I'm going to pay half and I'm going to pay half. £46, £23 each. I'm paying £23, so am I paying £23. But then let's look at it even further. Let's break it down per night. So half of 23 is what? 11.5? £11.50 a night? £11.50 a night each. That's wonderful value. Absolutely wonderful value. Now, admittedly, when I booked the campsite, I just did put 2 people. I didn't put 6 people. It could have been even cheaper. I don't know. I have to probably look into that. But for me, the price alone for 2 people and a dog, £49 for 2 nights, just to get away from it all, was wonderful. Easy, 5 out of 5. So there we go. That's all the sections. So there we go. That's all the scores that Riddings Wood Holiday Park came to. And it culminates in a score of a maximum of 55, 52 out of 55. That is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, it's a few days later. I've had a change of clothes. I've had a shave, beard, hair and all that. But this video has been delayed, like literally, for well over a week. And there's been a reason for that. It's because I've been busy in my workshop. I have been creating the first ever It's a Camping Thing award. And that's because the Riddings Wood Holiday Park exceeded all my expectations. I came away feeling rejuvenated, relaxed, happy. And after a year that started personally for me, one of the worst I've ever had, I came away smiling. And that is amazing. And I believe in the fact that if we have poor customer service, if we receive a poor product, then yes, as long as we're not nasty, as long as we're not personal or vindictive or anything like that, we have the ability to complain. But conversely, as my dad taught me many, many years ago, we also have the right to say thank you. Now, he was a manager for many years, and if a member of staff used to put themselves out, then he'd always make a point of saying thank you. He didn't want to let them go home and feel like their input was not valued. And that's exactly how I feel. So with that in mind, I've made the first ever It's a Camping Thing award, and this is exactly why this video has been delayed. As you can see, we've got a gold tent, a gold mallet, a little plaque on the front which says Gold Award Riddings Wood Holiday Park. We've got a gold table and chair. A nice little setup for somebody going camping, and I'm going to be giving this to the Riddings Wood Holiday Park on Saturday the 31st of May 2025, where incidentally I will be then going from there to my next campsite, which I will be doing a review of in the future. And I'll also be doing more tent reviews. I'll be testing out some budget gear. Oh, there's so much to do and look forward to. So if you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking, leaving a comment and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to support the channel even further, please check out the Buy Me a Coffee website, which is listed in the description box of this very video. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I also want to thank everyone at Riddings Wood Holiday Park for a wonderful time. I enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it, and I would go back tomorrow if I could. However, as I said, I make other videos. I got to go to other campsites and see what they have to offer as well. So thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves and goodbye.